In this video, we'll be exploring a fascinating topic that is often on our minds: how to turn our goals and desires into our reality through effective manifestation. As we delve into the teachings of Neville Goddard, it's important to note that he wasn't trying to instruct you on how to change your physical reality, but rather how to change your mind. This realization completely transformed my approach to manifestation when I stumbled upon it about a year ago. As Goddard aptly put it, consciousness is the only reality. When you acknowledge this fact, the previous point about manifesting what you want remains relevant. What you are conscious of is the only reality that exists. I want to assure you that no matter what is happening in your life, I am here to assist you. Your circumstances and life events do not define who you are as much as what you choose to entertain in your imagination. You may imagine that you are not good enough for others, but this is just a fantasy. Stop entertaining these negative thoughts, and they will no longer hold a presence in your life. You possess all the resources necessary within yourself, and it's time to start believing it. Do not allow the opinions of others to define who you are not defined by them. Your past, excuses, or even your closest friend should not hold you back from reaching your full potential. You were a miracle at birth, and you are the most significant person in the universe. The option is yours now. You can let your imagination run wild and realize how magnificent and wonderful you genuinely are, or you can continue to let those negative comments from others and yourself hold you back. Even your recollections from the past can have this effect. Neville Goddard challenges us to put the law of assumption to the test, as he believes that God is our imagination. According to the law of attraction, like attracts like, which is a law of the universe. It's unnecessary to test this for yourself since it's already a law. However, Neville Goddard demonstrated how to use the law of assumption to test the power of attraction for yourself. We'll delve into this technique in detail in our upcoming videos. Most of us were never taught how to connect with the universe through our feelings or senses using an internal universal code that we all share. The universe reflects and responds to our inner feelings and experiences, offering us exactly what we think, believe, and expect. The universe loves us unconditionally, not romantically, in a way that we can scarcely comprehend. Pay close attention to the teachings of Neville Goddard that I will share, and hopefully through his stories you will understand the truth of his teachings. Repeatedly Neville emphasized that everything exists in the human imagination, and that man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us, and we in him. Imagination is man's eternal body, which is God himself. This divine body is referred to as Jesus Christ in the scriptures. We may question or hesitate to take this seriously, but I hope to show you through stories how true this is. You may never be as completely lost as I would like, but let me tell you a story that Neville shared in one of his talks. A friend of yours from New York went to visit Neville's family during the week and had dinner with some of her friends one Saturday. She called him earlier that day and asked if she could come at 4 instead of 5, as she had something to tell me that the others wouldn't understand and would feel more comfortable talking about it in Neville's presence. Let me take you back in time to when he first met this remarkable woman in the city some 20 years ago. Before this encounter, she was a beautiful young model in her 30s who bought her parents a house and was paying off the mortgage. She confided in him that she had always dreamed of going to Paris, but she didn't have the money for that. She had enough saved up to take a modest week-long vacation as a tourist, and that seemed like the only viable option. So this woman asked Neville if she should go to Paris or not. He told her there was no reason to hesitate. In his words, "If you want to go, then go." She only had enough for a quick week-long trip to Paris as a tourist, so he told her to live modestly and enjoy her time there. For Neville, if you asked him for rational advice, you would be asking the wrong person. He did not conform to the rational mind. Instead, he believed in an entirely different principle, the power of imagination. For him, the imagination is Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is God. And with God all things are possible. And do you know what happened afterwards? She took his advice, and on the second day of her trip to Paris, she went on a blind date with a man 23 years her senior. He had been married 5 times before and had no children, but they fell in love. After they met, he divorced his 5th wife and married her. Soon they were blessed with a son. When Neville saw pictures of the Russian-born man she married, it was as if he hadn't aged a day. The woman was very wealthy, having made her fortune with international business factories in the United States, Paris, Puerto Rico, and around the world. The man was very happy with his son, who was now 2.5 years old, and he was especially delighted with the boy's foreign appearance. In one of his lectures, Neville reports that one night he had a vision of a beautiful little boy, about 5 years old, who told him that he was his father. So he asked him when he would come to Earth to be her child. And he replied, on the 10th of November. This was at the end of September, so he told his wife the next morning that she would give birth to a son on the 10th of November. She didn't believe it and said it was ridiculous because she wasn't even pregnant. However, he knew it was true. A few weeks later, on the night of one of his lectures in New York City, a woman showed up with a 2.5-year-old boy who looked exactly like the one in his vision. She appeared to be in distress and about to give birth. Then he asked her, "When are you expecting your child?" She replied, "No, it's going to be a daughter. Joseph and I want a daughter, not a son. We already have a son." Neville then asked about the due date and she said the doctor estimated early January. He suggested that if her daughter was born on the 10th of November, she should name her Neville Mark, as that was the name the little boy in her vision had told her. Sure enough, on November 10th, she gave birth to a baby boy and named him Neville Mark. Now they had 2 sons, and both boys grew up, with the first looking a lot like his father. When Larry, the woman's first child, turned 18, they sent him to college in England. One Saturday morning Neville got a call from her saying that Larry had been killed in a car accident in London. It was a shock to both Neville and her, as Larry was the only one killed. He was not driving, but was a passenger in the car. The woman, her husband Joseph and their son Neville Mark left for London within the hour to retrieve Larry's ashes, which they later scattered in Central Park. She was in shock for 2 months, and her husband called Neville long distance for advice on what to do. He confessed to Neville that he didn't know what to do. He then asked, "Should I consider putting her in a nursing home or having some sort of intervention?" Neville then replied, "Let me tell you something, you don't know this woman. She has an unyielding determination that is as strong as steel. She can achieve any goal she sets her mind to, and right now her only goal is to connect with Larry." Neville believed that all things exist in the human imagination, so for him Larry existed in her imagination and she needed to see him, touch him and know him. For this woman, Her religion and philosophies had failed her, and no amount of books or words of encouragement could ease her pain. She was in shock for months. Until one morning, she felt something welling up inside her. It was like she was looking for something, and then, out of nowhere, Larry appeared beside her in her room. He lived on the 33rd floor of Central Park South, and there he was, sitting in a chair next to her. Sitting beside him, she had never seen Larry so handsome, his skin smooth as velvet. They communicated without using words, and then Larry said to her, "Mommy, I didn't mean to hurt you." For her, that moment was incredible. Larry was talking to her, but not using words, and she was listening. She then asked her youngest son, Neville Mark, to fetch his father quickly. But when Joseph arrived, that's when something inside her broke and everything went away. The whole thing disappeared, but she said at that point she was completely healed. A pain that no doctor, philosopher, religious or book could help her. In this story, shared by Neville in some of his lectures, he proves and reinforces that all things exist within our wonderful human imagination, and that was where Larry was. A riveting story about one woman's relentless determination to connect with her lost child and the power of the human imagination to overcome even the deepest pain. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel and share it. And, as always, we welcome your comments and feedback, so please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.